Welcome to the Hypervoice, episode 52. This is a show all about Pokemon's video game championship series. I am your host, Steven Morioka, and today I am joined once again by Alex Underhill.
Coming at you hot.
Well, Alex, look at us back so soon. What's going on? This is like almost an emergency for us.
Yeah, and you know what? This is just us trying to keep it scheduled, keep on schedule, and keep it rhythmic, but we were this time punished for it. Last week it worked out because we timed it perfectly with that the trailer drop, but this time we just barely missed some news before happening after Steven and I recorded, so we had to come back and get right back at it.
That's right. This is actually back-to-back nights recording for us. These are going to be back-to-back episodes as well, just so everybody's aware here. But the big news, the big topic we're going to talk about today is essentially the 2020 season's regionals were revealed. So we got a lot of information about locations, a couple other minor things. But Alex, let's get right down to it. We've been predicting this for a few weeks now, expecting this coming. It's as if Pokemon's becoming a little bit predictable.
Yeah, like we were talking, last night after the recording, and you were telling me, Alex, the regional dates are going to be dropped any day now, and you need to be on call and ready for when these do, so that we can just talk about it, because you were super ready for them, and you know what? You were just one day too early. You were just saying, I don't know, or maybe not one day too early, just your warning was almost what caused it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just be on standby, high alert. Just, we have this foresight. But, what do you say? Let's get into some of the details of the regionals. Let's go over some of the locations and the timing. So this is super nice we got this. I like having this schedule ahead, available ahead of time so that we can see all the dates and some of the locations. So we got 2 regionals announced for Europe, and we got pretty much the good majority of the schedule for North America. For both the Latin America and the Oceania rating zones, they did not have anything revealed at this time. I'm sure there's going to be regionals or special events for them, but nothing was revealed here in mid-July. But, Alex, how about we do this? Let's just quickly go over the schedule, what we think about it. Why don't I start with the 2019 ones, and then you can cover the latter end for 2020. How's that sound?
All right,
let's do it. So, let's go over the dates, and we'll talk about details later, and what we think about all these. But the first regional on cue, starting in September, the first week in September 7th through 8th, this is all 2019, is going to be in Europe, in the United Kingdom. That's going to kick off the 2020 season after the Washington, D.C. Open, for points at least. And then in North America, we have, at the end of September, 28th through 29th, Atlantic City, New Jersey, which we've had a regional in Newark, New Jersey before in the past. That was 2011, maybe some other years. But we have that one. And then that same weekend, we're going to have a regional in Germany as well. So those were the 2 for Europe. That's all we got for all the other rating zones. The rest is going to be North America here. Moving forward into October, we have Knoxville, Tennessee on October 11th to 13th. November 2nd to 3rd is Richmond, Virginia. November 8th through 10th is going to be Portland, Oregon. And then in December 7th through 8th, we're going to be in the regional will be in San Diego, California. Now, Alex, kick it off. You're up.
All right, so for those of you that pay attention to me, you know that Dallas is, of course, over the weekend of my birthday. And then after that, so Dallas, Texas will be January 17th to 19th. In February 28th to March 1st, we've got Collinsville, Illinois. Then in March 13th to 15th, we've got Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. I'm pretty sure I said that right.
Maybe?
I'm confident I said it right. Mississauga, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, it's just Toronto. It's just an area outside Toronto for anyone wondering. It is.
March 20th to 22nd, we got Charlotte, North Carolina. April 4th to 5th, we've got Salt Lake City, Utah. May 9th through 10th, we've got Albany, New York. And then we've got March 22nd to 24th, Santa Clara, California. May. Oh, so there's 2. Wow. Okay, I didn't notice this yet. But May, I misspoke. May 9th through 10th for Albany, New York. May 22nd to 24th for Santa Clara, California. May 22nd to 24th also for Fort Wayne, Indiana. June 5th through 7th for Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that concludes the regional season.
Yeah, as we know of so far, I don't know, do you feel like, and there are obviously like the asterisks and messages underneath all these things that say like dates, locations, and formats are subject to change. One other thing to note about this is that the, in the description of the stuff for beginning the 2020 season, it states for us video game players, the 2020 season will begin with the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon games on the systems for the Nintendo 3DS family. Stay tuned for more information on format updates. So nothing more on that yet, but otherwise, no surprise we're going to still be on Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. That's fine, yeah.
But they did not yet confirm a format, which is pretty fun, pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think if it holds to last year's pattern, it's probably going to be revealed at Worlds.
Yes, yeah, but I'm really just hoping that we just don't get more Ultra. Ultra wasn't that bad, and we haven't played a ton of it, but I'd just love to experience one last thing on the 3DS. I think that'd be a really cool way for it to go out.
Me too. Yeah, it's like this weird syndrome we've all got now, and you're just having played we had the 3 series this last season. Just being able to change formats so much more rapidly over the course of 1 year.
I don't think we'll see that in Sword and Shield.
You do or don't?
Not for the first year.
Yeah, probably not. It's just going to be that regional Pokedex, which we're all predicting. That's what it's going to be, because that's all the Pokemon you're going to have in the game anyway. But, Alex, I see that a certain regional has returned.
No. Oh, man. And
Fort Wayne is back. What do you think about it?
To pull back the curtains even more now, as we had mentioned that we are recording this 2 days in a row, but to give a more specific time frame, I did just tweet like a couple of minutes ago, retweeting my own tweet from the past, where I said, "I am your Fort Wayne regional champion forever." And I mean, I still am, but I'm going to have to defend myself again.
Yeah, you're still defending champion, and I imagine you'll be attending that one, have an opportunity to still retain your title.
I'm gunning for it now. This is all that matters. This is all that I'm practicing for. The format's not even announced, but it's Sword and Shield, and oh man, it's the only title I've got left, and I need to keep it.
It's oddly very late in the season. Like, Fort Wayne has traditionally been, something early in the fall typically.
So when I saw this, I was intrigued, and then overall bummed. I'm happy to have Fort Wayne back, jokes aside about holding on to my forever title. I just wanted to have a regional to fit into this first trimester, if you will, looking at last season, how we had 3 formats. And I had to drive all the way out to Memphis, Tennessee for the closest regional in that first section, that first 6 or so regionals. And once again, there's nothing close by in this first section. I'm going to have to go all the way down to Knoxville, Tennessee, if I want the opportunity to play in a regional during the fall.
Yeah, that is the closest for us Midwest players in the Chicago area. I did see Knoxville's more on the eastern side of the state as well, closer to North Carolina.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah, that's interesting. Fort Wayne's kind of late, and then we'll see what you can do with that. But yeah, it's gonna be rough for in the that first portion of the season. Especially if people are gonna be chasing down stipends, the travel awards, trying to get on the snowball. You just kind of look at the region disparity for all the regionals in general. Like in the beginning in the fall.
Oh, absolutely.
It's heavily stacked for the East Coast.
This is something I wanted to mention, and it's very much a driving force behind my experience on the snowball in 2018. I got to win. I won Fort Wayne, the regional we were just talking about, in early 2018 season, And that was a reason that I decided to go to many more tournaments, was I had won prize money, I was leading the championship leaderboards, and I thought to myself, hey, I've got a good chance to snowball. I'll attend more regionals than I normally would. In this case, this year, I don't want to be too much of a downer, but we're kind of getting screwed because our 2 regionals are the end of the season, which, in terms of snowballing and competing for that day 2, these are regionals that players will travel from all over to for that last minute desperation points. The players that are fighting to have an easier chance to get an invite, to lock up invites, or to get more points before there's no more regionals to get for day 2. So having regionals to begin the season is a much better benefit, although it just depends on what you look for. One drawback is that you're playing the format that you won't be playing at Worlds, so these formats that we will be seeing in the fall here will be played on whatever format that is, whether it's Ultra again or some other, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon format. You're still not playing Sword and Shield, so that we have that we're going for us, but overall I think Midwest is looking a little bit rough.
Yeah, I mean, when you're saying, like, we're getting screwed, like, the West Coast players, they're getting, the worst end of the deal here, too, as well, because, like, a lot of the Midwest and East Coast regionals, if you combine them all together, it comes out to about 10 for the, right half of the country, and then only 4 for the left half of North America. I mean, North America, excuse me, not the country, or the continent. But it's pretty accessible for both Midwest and East Coast players, fitting all that in. Like, all the West Coast has is Portland, San Diego, Santa Clara, and Salt Lake City. So, those are 4, like, I'm sure that those players are going to try to hit up as well. And then I imagine, like, anyone like heavily invested in the season is going to have to be traveling to some of the regionals outside of their time zone. Well, that's a stupid way to put it, but they're going to have to put in some big travel hours.
Yeah, I agree. And worth noting that 3 to 4 regionals is about what you'd expect to be attending in a normal season, just gunning for a Worlds invite, as long as you are sprinkling in locals here and there and attending internationals. But you can get it with just the tournaments that I had mentioned. Relatively easy in past years. Not like relatively, you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to say. Like I felt like that was a reasonable thing to see, was players attend. This harkens back to the days of when we had what would you call it, Steven? Like, we had like cycles of regionals where like all the regionals were happening on 2 or 3 weekends. You remember that?
Yes, they were like regional blocks.
Blocks, yeah.
For 2012 and 2013, when we first had like full year-long seasons, the regionals were held in blocks, so they were all held on virtually the same weekend. Yeah, they were held on the same weekend. So there was like, in 2012, there was a November block and an April block. And in 2013, we had the fall, winter, and spring blocks, which were held in whatever months those were. But they were all held on the same day, so you had to choose one regional.
Yes.
And like, just funny story about that is, and actually there is a small like comparison here. When the winter block, whatever the regional in the winter block, I had a choice between St. Louis and the San Diego regional, and well, I should have been at the St. Louis one, but I went to the San Diego one in California in 2013 because my brother was playing in a volleyball tournament in Las Vegas that same weekend. So, like the few days before it. So we went to play. Me and my mom actually drove out.
I was gonna say, did you drive then?
Yeah, we drove. We drove out to Las Vegas to watch him. Then we went to the tournament, and then I don't remember if we dropped him off back at an airport or we dropped him off at an airport somewhere, and then we drove back home after that. That was my winter block regional when, should have been in St. Louis instead.
Steve, that drive that must have been an insane drive.
Yeah, it was a very long cross-country drive. It was a lot of fun, though.
Uh-huh.
I prefer traveling by ground over air. I'm not a fan of flying.
Uh-huh.
But, well, that's not part of the point here. Anyway, you see the same thing happening again, is players will have a choice between California and Fort Wayne, the Santa Clara, California, or Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I guess if you really want to also nail this down, you could choose between Atlantic City, New Jersey, or the Germany regional.
Yeah, for the players that do consider overseas travels. Yeah. Now, something I wanted to
But like,
highlight here.
you never know where you might be during those weekends. So maybe it'll work out that you just end up in the other location.
Study abroad. You know?
Yeah, of course. Like, Jonathan Evans was, he studied abroad or in the United Kingdom, or that's where he went to college, I think.
Yep.
And we saw him out in a lot of those tournaments for those number of years.
Yes, this is true. Now, Stephen, something I wanted to highlight in the schedule here, and I don't remember if this was a thing in previous years, but for example, Knoxville, Tennessee says it's October 11th through 13th. Now, is it notable that this says it is over the entire weekend, whereas like the next regional after it, Richmond, Virginia, says that it's November 2nd to 3rd?
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed this out because I tried to see if there's any correlation between what TCG format was being played, because that lists standard versus expanded. And there wasn't. I didn't find any. So, yeah, some are 3-day some are 3-day events, some are 2-day events. I wonder if that was just like a misprint or if they're just like extra side events that are going to be planned for those tournaments. Because you also can't make distinctions between the 2019 versus 2020 ones either. It just feels random right now.
I think so. When I asked this, I did already have kind of an answer in mind, and I just imagine it's the day that the TOs have the venue for, or something like that. The days the venue will be open, for example. So like this definitely affects TCG because I think they do deck locking earlier than us. Deck lists or whatever, handing in their deck lists, but yeah, I just thought it was something small worth pointing out. I mean, there are going to be people who have looked at the regional list from past years, which I think are still available if we do want to go hunt those down. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything to note here, or if it's just, Alex, you're reading too much into it. Some of them just include the whole weekend, whereas some of them are just Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, hard to say. I can't think of anything other than like, yeah, what they've rented out. When the TOs have rented out the venues, or they're just like extra premier challenges, midseason showdowns, or like league challenges for the trading card game. Maybe there's more Pokken Tournament DX stuff happening too, like more at a smaller level here. So I don't know. Let's see here. Now, I guess an important thing to note is that the regional BFL has changed. It has been reduced from 8 to 6, 8 in the 2019 season. For coming up in the 2020 season, it's going to be 6, and the championship point table payouts as of now have virtually been unchanged from the 2019 season.
Yeah, so Steven, right now I'm pulling up the CP spreadsheet that Patrick Donegan and Justin Wani and others run to manually track championship points and what events they came from. Because I was curious, we have this new BFL, and I wanted to see how many players actually, reached or crossed the BFL of 6. And
I see. Okay.
So looking at it now, going down the list, I see 1 with 8, 2 with 8, 3 with 8, and then another with 7, another with 7, 2 6s here, a third 6, and that is it. Yes. So what was that? What was the math on that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think, 10 maybe. About 10 or so players have reached or exceeded the BFL of 6.
Okay, just from this past season, so approximately 10 or so. Yeah, not a big number at all. Just for those players who attend, several regionals and do get finishes to get points from them, right? So, yeah. Well, I don't see that number. Well, maybe it will change more with Sword and Shield stuff. I don't know. Like just players going out to play more. I have no idea.
But overall, otherwise, nothing too noteworthy from looking at these tables, as you kind of already pointed out. All these numbers are very familiar to us. These kickers are also the same. Prizes are looking the same as well. Yeah, we're looking at the same prizes we've seen for the past year, so nothing new on that front.
Yeah, I haven't noticed much anything different from other than that. Like, it's like prize money and kickers. We can figure out all that stuff later. But yeah, now there are a few more questions, or like two or a few more questions here I'd like to ask, and let's just kind of talk about this a little bit here. And they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So we just mentioned this not long ago, how once we get our regional schedule, we can kind of figure out, that those breaks in between, where the open weekends are, where we think our internationals might fit into the schedule, and as well trying to figure out when we think the Sword and Shield format change is going to happen. So there are two plausible dates for that I can envision essentially, and that is December 1st, 2019 or January 1st, 2020. So let's just talk about all of this in whole and what we kind of think here.
Yeah, so starting it off, I am a believer that the new format will roll out the 1st of December, which I already did some research into, is a Sunday. So we might see some TOs planning tournaments around that Sunday because it's the first day.
Yeah, I'm with you actually. Also strongly believe it's gonna be December 1st. It's only 2 weeks, roughly. It's actually 2 weeks after Sword and Shield come out on November 15th. But people, I don't like. I can't really come up with a reason for them not to do December 1st over January 1st. Once they get the new game out, like, people are going to want to automatically switch to that immediately, both in terms of general gameplay as well as competitive gameplay. So just move everybody over, get them going, and I'm sure the online infrastructure will be ready by then for everybody to be able to play for those 2 weeks prior to that date as well.
Yes. Now, as for when the internet slot into this, I don't know, it's tough. There's not a lot of large breaks that we see in here. We didn't see in the past year where the internets were given their own month for that tournament and just kind of spaced everything out around it. It's kind of a tough call to say. U.S. internets is, of course, going to be in the summer. That's not a hard call to make, I would say, and it's just going to be sometime late June, maybe July. But the tough call is all the other internets, and just not so specifically the order, since we know they are now capable of shuffling them around. Instead, it's just going to be more interesting if Steven and I are able to pinpoint where they're going to place the internets just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some good ideas.
Yeah, please do, because I got nothing. That's why I was hoping, throwing it your way. I was like, oh, please.
Okay, yeah. So, if you just take a look at the schedule, so you can work forwards or backwards, but I'm going to work backwards here because it's a little easier to figure this out this way, at least in my opinion. You look at April.
Absolutely.
You have the Salt Lake City, Utah regional from April 4th to 5th, and then there's a big gap in the entire month. That's all you got so far. The next regional isn't in until May 9th through 10th in Albany, New York. So the internationals have roughly been in the same, time span over the last few years. So those are also kind of getting predictable. So I can imagine mid to late April will be that third international. And then you also have
I got it. I got the next one.
Okay, what do you got?
The typical second one of the year. It's just going to be early February from the looks of it. Maybe that first weekend.
Yeah, there's a huge gap in the tournaments there in time for them to just fit it in there. Not even squeeze it, there's a lot of room.
Yeah, between Dallas and Collinsville, there's a full month and a little bit more.
Yeah. Now, based on our question from asking about when the format change on Sword and Shield is going to happen, if it does happen December 1st, you could have the international in November and have it be played on the Ultra Sun Ultra Moon games. Would be kind of awkward to have it being played when Sword and
But
Sword
not
and
unheard
Shield
of. But not unheard
are
of.
out already. Yeah, not unheard of, but kind of a missed opportunity, especially with this big radical of a change here. So I'm predicting, probably the weekend after San Diego, December 7th through 8th is that regional weekend. I think the week after we're going to see that first international. Don't know whether it will be South Latin America or Europe, but that's that's what I'm predicting. I'll even go on record saying I think that's when international is going to be.
See, that's the problem. I looked at this and I said it's too close to holidays.
I know it's it could conflict with a lot of people's scheduling for school with finals, and again, yeah, with the holidays as well in terms of traveling.
And the next best gap is you can. I mean, I think I know when it's gonna be. Ugh, Steven, they're gonna do it. It's gonna be the joke that everybody was making. You see, when the dates were announced for Sword and Shield, everyone was like, well, the first internets is gonna be that weekend. And I think that's where I'm predicting it to fall. Because if you look at November 8th to 10th in Portland, and then December 7th to 8th in San Diego, California, you got a large break there. You have one weekend that you might want to, rope off for Sword and Shield, but I don't think you get to, because we've seen in the past Pokemon do this. I remember Sun and Moon came out, and that weekend I was playing in the Fort Wayne Regional for the 2017 season, 2016 format. I remember when I think it was Ultra Sun and Moon came out, that's when they ran London 2, the second London. Was this the one that I was at? Maybe. Anyway.
Was this like when Sun and Moon came out? We were still playing on Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire instead of like going over to Sun and Moon? Is that what you're going to talk about?
That's what I was talking about for when I was playing in Fort Wayne. But then
Gotcha, yeah.
About over a year later, because London had like 2 weeks before, 2 weeks the game came out, or 2 weeks after the game came out, people were playing in London, basically. Maybe 3 weeks, something like that. But then the following London was moved a little bit earlier, and it happened the weekend Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out. So when Sword and Shield's dates were announced, people were joking, saying, that's when the first international is going to be, and I think that's what we're looking at again. And it's going to suck for whatever rating zone has it. I mean, we felt bad for London in the past couple of years, how they've had weird situations where they had to play the first London with no preparation for the format. It was so fresh, so new, this new generation, new games. And then they played the same format about a year later as the game is dying, where not the game, but the format is dying, where it's been solved, it's been done, everybody's played it
Ready
up. Ready to move on. And yet they're here still playing this old format. I think whatever rating zone falls here is going to be the one that ends up getting kind of screwed over in a way.
Okay, I'm going to stay hopeful, and I'm going to predict that the first international, all our internationals this year will be on Sword and Shield. That is going to be my prediction. It will be December 13th through 15th, that first one. Alex is predicting, I'm saying November 15th through 17th, I believe.
Yeah, 13th.
Is
yeah,
that week
13th
after?
Through 15th, and mine is 15th through 17th. Yes.
Yeah, the Sword and Shield launch weekend, and I think the other internationals will fall into place in the pattern we've seen so far. It's just figuring out that first one is the big challenge.
But otherwise, I think Steve and I can agree on the other ones. So this is where
Cool.
It comes down to. This is what it comes down to when they announce those internet dates. What's on the line? What's on the line,
and then,
Steven?
both of us are in agreement that or at least our prediction is that the format's going to switch to Sword and Shield on December 1st, rather than wait out that whole month.
I do think it's fun that we at least have one different prediction.
Yeah, that is good. I guess out of all the locations we've seen from this announcement so far, what's the one that stands out to you the most?
I think it was interesting to just see the state of New York pop up as a location for one of the tournaments.
Yeah. Oh, that was mine too. Oh, well.
Well, okay, hold on. Before we move on from that, I did want to say just in general, we saw a lot of shifts of regionals, whether it was bringing back a regional that kind of was missing, where it's like Fort Wayne. But we saw a lot of shifts, like Madison moved to Milwaukee. I believe the California regionals might have gotten shifted. Maybe not. Santa Clara was last year. I don't believe we had San Diego last year, but they moved that around.
Yeah, but it's just, you consider it as Northern California and Southern California. Like, it's all generalized to those areas.
Knoxville, Tennessee is, a short distance away from Memphis, Tennessee in the, scope of things. So
was, Virginia, the Richmond, was that Roanoke last time?
Yeah, I want to say it was, And so we saw like a lot of new names, new locations pop up, but they're just short shifts from old ones, which I still think is cool. It's fun to visit new cities.
Yeah, like I mentioned when we started the show, Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's kind of new. We haven't been in New Jersey for a regional in a long time. I know Newark for sure was 2011. There may or may not have been another one since. I cannot recall off the top of my head. But yeah, we'll get to that's one of the first. That is the first regional in North America. But yeah, just to point out, like you mentioned, the one in New York, I can't think of any other major tournament we've had there.
I know.
Since 2006 Nationals for Journey Across America in New York City.
I'm still holding out for our Chicago regional.
I think that might be like a surprise announcement that they added in. I'm not.
I don't think they're gonna do that. I'm just waiting for the year that it's just made a regional from the get go.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So this based on the locations we have so far, you can almost also like try to figure out where on the map could they put Worlds next year. I don't really want to play a prediction game right now, but it's something to think about.
What are you getting at?
So based on like all the geography, and usually this doesn't matter, play a factor into it, but you can kind of predict where Worlds might be. No, that's maybe not.
I don't know about this, Steven. I think we actually tried to play this game last year, or like for Nashville, or not Nashville, but maybe the one before it. And
yeah, the one before it.
Yeah, and we were like dead wrong. So I don't think because I think Anaheim had a regional the year before, and yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's the Anaheim regional, and it had a World. So
it was actually in the same year. So Steven, don't try to apply logic here. We're just gonna lose.
Okay. Yeah, we don't need to lose this game any more than we need to. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So getting the schedule, I like having this to be able to plan ahead of time. This is very nice. Everyone can look at this, gauge what tournaments they want to go to, what locations they want to go to, and figure out what they'll be able to go to based on your schedule. So, Alex, what are your closing thoughts before we wrap up? We're going to have a short episode this time because we're giving a double whammy this week.
My thoughts are start planning those trips ahead of time. And yeah, I'm a little bummed about my fall, but I'm excited to have a fun close to the season where I get to go to 2 local regionals, and who knows, I might go to other ones. I've traveled outside of my region plenty before, so looking forward to the season. How about you, Steven?
I am too. I'm very much looking forward to the season. I wanted to get really sentimental about something, but I might do that another time. It's pretty important.
He's just going to drop that on us and then take it away.
Okay. We still have time. Let's just go ahead and do this right now. So, you can't really say this about well, I know we're confirmed now you can't say this about the regionals, and you maybe can't say this about an international yet, but 100% you can say that this World Championships, the 2019 World Championships in Washington, D.C., is going to be the last one on the Nintendo DS family. So if you consider the DS through 3DS, all that entire handheld system, this is it. It's the end for the system for the World Championships. Like all the way from 2008 to now to present, 2019. It's over. We're switching systems next season, and it's like it's been a fun ride just to be able to be a part of it and watch it. So
yeah, I won't lie, I'm feeling the same way, Steven. It's a little bit sad because, like, can you think of VGC without thinking about the DS, the 3DS, especially for me, but like, just in general, this dual screen system has been the home of Pokemon forever. And that's just not even just for VGC, but just for Pokemon in general. And now we're moving to the Switch. This is the end of a serious era.
Yeah, the Pokemon on the DS games, or on the DS systems and the 3DS systems, we were back all the way in Generation 4 when we first started with Diamond and Pearl on these systems. So it's just really special to think about that, and it's also, it's time to move on. We're going to look back at all these things and we'll reminisce some more about it. But yeah, just like you mentioned, it's time to look forward to the season. We're going to be moving to a brand new system, and let's get excited for Sword and Shield on our Switch. Who knows? This may be last another 10, 11 years or so.
I see you trying to avoid ending on a sad note, Steven. Don't pretend
That's right.
you didn't. Don't pretend that you didn't
Cry?
just make us end on a sad note.
That way you might be crying a little bit. Yeah, this is just really special. No, this is gonna be a special World Championships because it's the last one on the DS family. And I think that's a wrap. We're gonna leave it at that. Close up the show here. But yeah, unless Alex, you have anything else to say?
No, I'm okay. I mean, I'm good.
Okay, awesome.
I'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll all need to console each other. Console each other.
No, too soon.
we'll all need to console each other after the World Championships. But anyway, this was our show. Thank you all so much for listening to the Hypervoice. Remember, you can find us in a lot of different places. You can email your feedback, questions, or comments to vgchypervoice@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. You can subscribe, download the shows from all those places. You can also leave us a review on iTunes. It really helps with visibility and helps others discover our show. And remember, if you think you have someone else who might enjoy this show, who would like it, please go tell them. Tell your friends about us. Let them know so that they can listen in, get in on the action, and then especially for competitive Pokemon coming up, this is a big time coming these next few months. And you can also find us on Facebook, on our Facebook group, and you can follow the show on Twitter at the Hypervoice. Lastly, you can follow the both of us as well. You can follow me at Super Morioka. And Alex, where can people follow you?
At Lexicon VGC.
All right, excellent. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and stay tuned for more of the Hypervoice.
Alola.
Oh wow, soon you won't be able to say Alola anymore either. We're gonna have to
Galar.
Stop that. Galar.
I'm definitely gonna say that in the first one.
So you should. That'll be funny. It's so ugly too.